Welcome to the SJ Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hello, thank you so much for joining the SJ Child Show. Today's podcast, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors for our upcoming autism event, the 1 in 36 Mixed Virtual Autism Summit, August 11th and 12th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. Get your tickets on Hopin Events 1 in 36 Mix Autism Summit. Or you can reach out to me. I have sponsorship tickets available from our sponsors. Reach out to me if you need a free ticket, if you know a family that would like a free ticket. I have tickets available from our amazing sponsors. Let's give them a shout out now. To Kathy Rodriguez with Safe Spaced Staging for Kids. She provides a service where she recreates service providers' offices to help your child have better success with things like dental services, hair salons, doctor's appointments. So please check them out. Safe Space Staging for Kids. Tongue twister there. Our next sponsor is Quality Roofing and Energy, and they are here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Amazing company. The Castillos run that company, and not only have we become friends, but they have really helped me out in the situations where I've needed their help. That's Quality Roofing and Energy. You can check them out on their website, on Facebook, and I believe they might even have an Instagram page. Thank you so much for joining the SJ Child Show. If you'd like a special shout out, please reach out to me by email at sjchildshow@gmail.com or go to my website at sjchilds.org, where you can get the information for the event and also for other events that might be coming up and for the podcast and all the other good stuff. So good to have you all here today. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the SJ Child Show. Thank you so much for being here, Jessica. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today and learning more about your services and what your passions are and, you know, those exciting things that. So let us know a little bit about yourself. Give us an introduction.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to be here and chat with you today. My name is Jarmo. I am a dyslexic and ADHD career coach. So what that means is I help individuals who have ADHD and or dyslexia find a job, choose a career path, and on the job support. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background that might make more sense too. So I am dyslexic and I have ADHD. Growing up was a struggle to say the least. So struggling with ADHD, I went to, 5 different schools before I even graduated high school. Going to school was hard. I barely graduated high school. I got into one college that was, in the center of Springfield. That was a really bad area. Our pizza guy got shot.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was able to get my undergrad in early childhood development. And then as I was working, I graduated school after having, $30,000 a year in debt to make $13 an hour.
Oh, brother. Yeah.
Right. So I went back to school and got my MBA in concentration in human resource. And so I went into, HR, but particularly recruiting. So my background is in recruiting, which really helps with, being a dyslexic and ADHD career coach, that I understand that background of what the hiring manager is thinking, behind the scenes recruitment expertise, and understanding what the recruiter is looking for and the ins and outs of how is that recruiter finding you? What
Mm.
are they looking for? How do you answer those questions type of thing? Not just what the questions are, but how do you answer them?
Yeah. And that's not only difficult for someone without dyslexia and ADHD, but even
Yeah.
twice as much in learning how to decipher and kind of get through all of the resources and point to the right direction of how to do that. So that's a wonderful resource that you're providing for folks. And you're on the East Coast, right?
Yes, I'm in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, wonderful. So people know where to go if they need to, to find you to help them. What types of, like, how would you say a beginning uh, with a client looks like? What does that look like when a client comes to you, and what types of challenges are they usually looking for you to fill?
Yeah, good question. So it's usually, struggles with either finding a job or they're having complications in their job. So time management is a huge one, understanding what your responsibilities and how to really organize your day and how to feel productive. Because with dyslexia and ADHD, it's hard for us to understand where our time goes
Mm.
and you know if we're doing the tasks appropriately on time. And sometimes it's even goes to the other extreme where you're doing so much that even more than the average person because you don't want anybody to see your invisible difference, type of thing. So that's one piece. And then the other piece is it's hard to find a job, the interviewing skills, how to answer those questions, um, you know, how to actually apply for a job and follow up. So, follow up is key with anything, but particularly in this economy where finding a job right now is really hard as it is.
Mm.
So, understanding how to talk to hiring managers or recruiters and how to present yourself and how to advocate for yourself. And if you need to advocate for yourself in the interview process versus advocating for yourself when you get into the job and what that might look like. And that's something else that I also help with. So once you get the job, I'm also there to guide you on how to chat with your manager and how to advocate and
Mm.
plan that out.
I love that. And it's a very individual journey, I suppose, as
Mhm.
to whether or not they would like to share the information with an employer. And I mean, I guess so it's so hard because as you see when we accommodate children, the need is for there to get the accommodations for them
Yeah.
to be able to learn better or to sit in the classroom with other children. But when we get into adults and the idea, right, that we should know what we're doing and have an idea of how it goes and looks, it's not true. I mean, especially when you're an individual going into a new place, all of the new overstimulation, lights, any things like that. Are those some things that you might um, give advice to as far as looking for accommodations, like where to sit or what kind of a lit room to look for, anything like that? What does
Yeah.
that look like?
So there's a lot of different combinations, but so for advocating for yourself, it really depends on the individual needs, like you said. So, um, if you're having struggles interviewing and it's not as fixable type of thing that's when you need to advocate for yourself in the interview process. Um, my personal opinion, everybody's different, that I don't believe that you need to tell anybody that you have dyslexia or ADHD before you get the job,
Mm.
unless you're having issues because of your difference in the interview process. So, it's kind of like in my mindset, it's kind of like, oh, you're going to interview and you're like, oh, I have a back injury and, type of thing. So that's just my opinion. And once you get into your job, everything is changing now too. And there's so much accommodations. There's so many, different programs that are available with a lot of different companies. I do think it is a great idea to advocate for yourself. You don't have to scream it from the rooftop, but to have a conversation or even have a confidential conversation with your hiring manager and say, hey, this is something personal I want to tell you, but please don't share it with anybody else.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So that way it is incredibly freeing. I know it sounds really scary to some people, but I almost got fired I got fired from one job to move on to another job, and I almost got fired again. And I came clean to who is now my mentor that I have dyslexia, right? So, and I was so scared and like crying and upset, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I need to. So hopefully I don't lose my job. And I did, and he was so welcoming, and he helped me understand how I need to manage my time, what my responsibilities really are, and really organizing that whole thing. And, I was able to reach 6 figures in that job. So I went from almost being fired to being one of the top, recruiters. So once us, neurodivergents get what we're supposed to do, we kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I absolutely can agree with that. I mean, I think I've probably had like 5, 6 careers in my life when people are usually like, what one career am I going to focus on? And I'm like, no. I need to do it all. I need to wear all the hats, right?
Exactly.
Think of all the skills you can take with you later from if you have all the skills from all the jobs, right? No, it's so interesting. And it really is so individual, and it's so important that my husband is dyslexic as well as my daughter. We all have ADHD, so we're all in it together there. But with the two of them, it's interesting. I see my husband is in construction. He's a carpenter. And so for him, it's those numbers that are always tricky to, and he has so many tricks and strategies that he uses now as an adult in his business to help him not fumble the numbers and things like that. And he does an amazing job. So it's definitely skills that you can practice to have success in your jobs and things like that. What type of jobs is there more of a certain type of job that it's better fitting maybe than others?
That's a really good question. So there are type of jobs that especially I know some of the statistics for dyslexics, but so engineers, so 70% of engineers are actually dyslexic, which is pretty cool. And if you want to get into it deeper, engineers are right out of college, they get paid like $70,000 a year. So they're, making great money, and they know they're really good at what they do. Sorry, there's a bug flying next to me.
Summertime. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So yeah, engineers, architects, as well as entrepreneurs. So 35% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, and about 25 to 35% of entrepreneurs, self-made millionaires are dyslexic.
Oh, wow.
So, it just shows that, we are really smart, and, we can really do anything that we want. And I feel like that is something that needs to be instilled in our young minds and the kids, and, even the adults now that have probably gone through some trauma in their life.
Yeah.
That you can still, do whatever you need to do or whatever you want to do. But yeah, those are some of them. I think that it really depends with each person, because you can have ADHD, but you can also have Asperger's or something else. and you can have dyslexia and you have, something else. So, I think sometimes, hands-on learning is really good for people with neurodiverse or hands-on jobs, because, we really learn from doing and showing, physically seeing something, and, viewing it and actually getting, a lot of different types of education or, valuable information, but seeing and doing and, showing somebody. And I think that's where that comes in for the hands-on, but also consistency. I feel like, at least for me, if you have too many things going on in one job, it's going to be hard for you to organize that. So if there is some repetitiveness that you can organize and be consistent, that's great. But also, on the other hand, you don't want to be just doing one thing every day, all day type of thing. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you mean variety definitely is makes the time go by faster. Everything, if you're doing one thing the whole time. I mean, this might be a little bit hard to answer. What age groups are you looking at right now that are really struggling the most in the workplace?
Yeah, good question. I would say transitioning from college to career. Those kids, understanding how to do an interview and get that interview. So I've run into a lot of young adults that have graduated, but they've graduated 1 or 2 years ago and they still haven't found a job. And, that might not just be neurodiversity, but, could definitely have a huge portion of, why that is. So that's really the interview process and, how to talk to somebody, how to connect with somebody, because when you're interviewing, you really want to make that connection. And that's what, they're really looking for. But also, looking for, a lot of the other people that I work with too are, people that are stuck in their jobs and they, they don't know where to go because they've been doing it for so long and they're like, oh, I'm stuck here forever. How do I get out of here? How can I transfer to a different department or, job frame? And I think that's very frustrating because I was definitely there, with being in education, and wanting to, do more, financially, as well as being happy, right? We all just want to be happy.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And we really have to think about when I mean, it's been so long since I've had to look for a job or do anything like that.
Yeah.
But I remember, you're so right about that. I remember one instance where, and I had no idea that I was neurodiverse back then, no idea. But I remember going to apply for a job as a legal, it was an office job. And I was coming out of being like a leasing consultant. So I'd had office experience and write letters to residents, blah, blah, blah. And I went into this job and it was a law firm. And I did what was needed. And they called me back and they said, out of all of the legal secretaries that we interviewed, you were the only non-legal person that wrote a letter correctly. That, and I was like, hey,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that began my legal career and I became a paralegal from there. But how just not even knowing that I was going into this process to do this specific thing, but to just take the skills that I had learned and just do my best. And just like you said, make the connections with these people. And it turned out to be fantastic career to have, and lots of great things have come out of it. But I can't imagine having to go back and do that. What areas, I guess everywhere, it's been so long, like I said, I've been in the workplace. What areas of work are in need of people right now? Is there a specific you know, what am I looking? What's the word I'm looking for? A specific job opportunity or something?
Um, you know, I think that, engineering is usually a big one because engineering is usually hard to find um, great candidates. Engineering tech is usually really big right now. So in engineering and tech, why I say it's hard to find the right people, it's hard to find the right people because it's also because of that connection. And there's not as many people in engineering. So actually, a side note, my family has a all girls engineering program. So like getting
Oh,
more women involved in
that's
engineering
great.
and growing that is really important too. Um, so that's usually the area that struggles. Um, so yeah, I would say, tech engineering, there'll always be, jobs for that. But it's just when you're interviewing, it's really, I can't stress enough, it's making that connection and being able to have a conversation with somebody and listen to them and understand what they're saying and then give your advice. They're looking for somebody who can, you know, connect with people, have a conversation, also have those technical tools, that background in education, and, experience.
Yeah, exactly. And how about like dual languages? Does being bilingual give you a step up in the workplace?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I have seen a lot more of actually jobs that request, having another language like Spanish is a big one. Um, when I worked at TGX companies for a while, and I would have loved to know Spanish. That's it's on my bucket list to learn how to
Right?
speak Spanish. Um, but I worked in the distribution center of the warehouse, and a lot of people, spoke Spanish. So I actually would get on the phone with the with benefits and insurance and try to help them. And I'd have like my computer out, like Googling different words. And also like my, somebody I worked with was Spanish, and I'd be like, how do you say this or that? So I think that's really important. Definitely. And that will definitely give you a leg up.
Yeah. Like now they have all these immersive schools that they do immersements and things where kids have the opportunity to learn, a second language
Yeah.
and that's really fantastic. Hopefully we'll give them kind of a leg up in the employment industry someday.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
What would you say maybe are like the top 3 to 5 skills you want to have to take with you to the next job interview you're going to?
Top 3 to 5 skills for the next job interview. That's a good one. So for the interview or going into the job, like is this
I guess you just kind of covered what the interview, what they needed and everything. So let's talk about the job itself. Yeah.
okay? So I would say coachability is high on everybody's list. No matter if you're a VP, a manager, or if you're entry level, they want that coachability, that um, being open and wanting to learn everything you can and not having the mindset of, I already know that type of thing. There's always something that you can learn. There's always expansion, and being able to, help others. Empathy is a big one. Understanding what other people are going through. A lot of people like myself, I feel like I understand and I feel other people's emotions. Um, you know, and so does my daughter. What is that called? Like an empath.
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
so I'm very high empathy, but I think that in this world that we live in now, where we have the neurodiversity is inclusion, diversity, inclusion is getting better with companies having that empathy of maybe you might not know what somebody else is going through. but you can empathize or, assist in getting help. And I would say, what is the third one? I would say, whatever job you're going for, have those skills and experience. But if you don't have those skills and experience, there's always transferable skills. Mm-hmm. So you can transfer, skills from another job to a new job, and being able to articulate that and understand how that flows. So yeah, does that make sense?
That's important. Absolutely. And I was just thinking about back into that interview process. Are there any tips that you might give someone, like read up on who's interviewing you so that you can compliment them, or, something about their job? Like, wow, I've seen you've been here for 32 years. That's amazing. Tell me what your secrets are. Things like that. What would you say is a good, like, maybe, but secrets to the interviewer to impress the interviewer?
Yes,
the interviewer.
I love it. Definitely. You want to look them up on LinkedIn. You want to check out their whole profile. You want to see what connections you have. So do you have people that they know? Sometimes with the recruiters, they don't always know, like they have, thousands of people they're connected with, but so make sure you mention that. If you went to the same college, or, you have, maybe they worked at the same company that, your cousin or your uncle or somebody, and say, hey, do you know so-and-so that used to work there? That is great. I would say questions. When you go to an interview, make sure you're asking lots of questions. Good questions at the end of your interview. So the questions should be directed towards each individual. So it really, it gets a little complicated, but depending on what person you're talking to, like if you're talking to a recruiter versus a hiring manager, there's different questions. But all in all, you want to ask questions about how do you like this job? Or how do you like this company? And dig deep into their neurodiverse programs and inclusions. What do they do for that? What does that look like? So you want to interview them too, is kind of a secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
Just because you got this interview and you're probably really excited about it, but you want to make sure it's a good fit for you as well. And you don't go in there, oh yes, I got this great job, it's great pay. And then you get there and all, the culture is awful and you're unhappy and miserable in your job, right?
Yeah.
So you really want to ask those questions, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I have as well, right? We've all had those, and we're like, oh my God, why did I take this? There were so many red flags.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that the truth?
Yeah. So pay attention to those red flags.
Trust yourself, people. Trust yourself, right? Yeah. Really, though. That is it's so true. The red flags. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, ask those questions, and educate yourself on their company. So you want to ask specific questions that show that you research their company, that you know some knowledge in that question, but you want to ask a specific question to what you know.
Yeah. And I like that. And I think that shows them your interest on a much higher level than someone that just comes in to answer questions and walks away. So I think definitely. That you can really make set yourself apart from other interviewees by doing those types of things, huh?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, definitely.
That's great. Well, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and I love what you're doing and the services you're offering for adults, for neurodivergence. And it's so important that we understand that we have support out there. Most importantly, that we lean on that support, knowing it's there is great, people, but actually get it. Getting it, right? Definitely. Tell 100%. Us where we can go to find your website, social medias, things like that, to connect with you.
Yeah, definitely. So my website is justjarmo.com, which is JESSJARMO .com. And then I'm also on Facebook, so you can find me Just Jarmo. I also have a Facebook group where I share some free materials and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
So that is Career Growth Squad. And I can give you like a link or something. Is that okay?
Yeah.
For that one.
That's
If you want to
fantastic.
share that. But you can find me on Facebook and just ask me for the Facebook group as well. I'm also on LinkedIn under Just Jarmo as well. So definitely connect with me. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Now you mentioned that your family has like a women's program for engineering. Tell us about that. Let's get them some, support too.
Yeah, definitely. So they are called oh my goodness,
I
I'm
know, put you on the spot.
forgetting
Sorry.
my ADHD. I'm gonna have to give you a link or something
That's
of
okay.
them to
We'll
share.
link that down in the notes, guys. So if you're interested.
Yes. So they I think so my aunt passed away several years ago, and she was an engineer.
Okay.
And we opened this nonprofit in her name to support women in engineering and young adults, young kids. So I live in Maynard, Massachusetts, and we do this with the surrounding towns. So if there's anybody out there listening, definitely get a hold of me. Check out some of the links that Sarah will share. But so Maynard, Littleton, Acton, Stowe area. We do a couple different events a year, and we have the kids do robotics. They do, mechanical engineering, and they come for an event for like most of the day. It's like a Saturday usually, or even
Great.
after school type of thing, and then they present it. So when they're all done, the parents come up to pick them up, and they show them what they created, and it's pretty cool. My daughter's really into it now, but
That's
we
neat.
do fourth grade to eighth grade, and then the eighth graders would get involved, and they can do some more of the mentoring too.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
so yeah, it's a really good
Wonderful.
program. And sometimes this year we gave out a scholarship to a graduating high school student in Maynard.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful things in the community you're doing over there. And I actually hear amazing things about Massachusetts and all of the programs that they have for neurodiverse community. So, good
Yeah.
job, Massachusetts. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
on the wrong side of the United States here.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but it was such a pleasure to chat with you and to get to know you better today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
And
it was great chatting with you too. I appreciate
meeting with
it.
me first thing in the morning. Yeah, has been really nice. And we'll have all of those links in the show notes in the transcript. So you can go there to find those. Thank you so much for your time today. And I hope that we can stay in touch.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.